You're listening to Tim Topham TV, the piano teaching podcast, and this is episode number 72. G'day and welcome back, everyone, to the last episode of this year. Thank you so much for joining me over the course of a year. Perhaps you've been following me since I started back in about March of 2015. We're up to episode number 72, and I thought I'd take a chance this episode to have a look at some of the achievements that we've made online recently and in the blog and the podcast, and also talk about some of the plans for next year, so you've got a good idea of what's going on. And then this episode, the feature of this episode is all about the 7 most powerful creative piano teaching episodes from 2015 to 2016 on Tim Topham TV. So I'm going to tell you exactly how that roundup is going to work in just a moment. But I thought a good way to start something like this is obviously to thank you so much for taking this time to listen or watch these episodes. I do hope you've been enjoying them and getting a lot out of them. I know that from the reviews and feedback I've been getting, they certainly have been appreciated, and people have been enjoying the content and learning lots from it. So thank you very much to you, my listeners and my viewers. It's because of you and the feedback that you give me that I do put the time and effort into creating these podcasts for you. And I'm looking forward to continuing doing it next year, of course. So some of the great achievements that I'm really proud of this year, first and foremost, was the starting of the Inner Circle community at timtopham.com here, and the achievements of the members. It's something that I've wanted to start and create for some time. It took me about 6 months worth of planning, and then launched in March this year. And it's going really, really strongly. And I'm very thankful to everyone who's put in time and effort and support to contribute to the community, all the members there who are sharing so freely of all their ideas. It is exactly what I hoped it would be, which is the best professional development resource for piano teachers on the net, and will only grow bigger and better next year. Of course, for those of you who don't know, part of my story is that I've taught in schools for more or less 20 years now. Pretty much right since I finished university and started teaching, I've been teaching in a school context. And all that came to an end this year when I resigned from my head of keyboard teaching position at Xavier College in order to focus on my community, the blog, and the podcast full time. So next year is going to be a little bit different. So if you're listening to this, or maybe this is your first episode, maybe it's you're a regular listener, there's going to be lots of great changes happening next year. And I'm very, very excited to be able to have the time finally to really put in 100% of my effort into creating content for you guys to help change the state of piano teaching around the world and help engage more teachers in this kind of creative approach to teaching, which I'm so passionate about. So this year, I did some solo workshops in Newcastle here in New South Wales in Australia. We did the workshops as well around Australia, Transform Your Piano Teaching, with one of my Inner Circle experts, Paul Myatt, which was great fun too. And I did the keynote speech at some of the music technology conferences that were traveling around from Music EdNet, which was great fun too. And next year, some more speaking is on the cards. So I can confirm that I will definitely be heading to the National Conference on Keyboard Pedagogy, NCKP 2017 in Chicago, and presenting a workshop there. I'll tell you more about what it's on and how it's all going to work next year. And I'm very excited to let you know, if you haven't already heard, that I'll be joining Bradley Sowash and Lee Levis at their 88 Creative Keys workshops over 3 days just before the NCKP conference over in Denver, Colorado, for 3 days of creative, inspiring piano teaching and composition and improvising and all the good stuff. I can't wait to be over there hanging out with those guys. They're two of my best mates when it comes to piano teaching, and two people I respect very, very highly in the industry. And I know any piano teacher who's going to be heading over to that event is going to have an absolute blast. So again, we'll be sharing information about costs, pricing, the dates, which is around the 19th of July next year in 2017, depending on when you're listening to this. Make sure you sign up. If you're in the States, make that flight across. I'm going to be flying for 20 hours or whatever it's going to take me to get there. So if you're in the States, no excuse. Jump on a plane and head to Denver, Colorado. It is going to be totally awesome. I'll also be speaking at hopefully speaking at the Australian Piano Pedagogy Conference. I'll be putting applications for that shortly, so not yet confirmed. And also doing a few more keynotes in music technology for a couple of other events in Sydney and Adelaide, I think. For the blog, if you've been a regular blog follower, as many of you are, expect next year to have more training-based articles, more lesson kind of articles and downloads and things that you can really get hands-on. I want to create more resources that you can take away and use in your studios. And the same for the podcast. I think we might be having a new name for this podcast next year. I'm not divulging anymore at this stage. I'm going to be focusing on audio only at this stage with some videos. So depending on the guest and the nature of the content we're going to be talking about, some podcasts may be videos, but I'm really going to be focusing on audio podcasts because I really want the focus to be teachers listening to this while they're doing other things. Sitting down and watching an hour-long video is very, very difficult these days. So I'm really trying to almost actively discourage you from doing that for most podcasts by simply not creating the video, because I really want everyone to get in the habit of listening to the podcast while they're doing other things. It is the best way to absorb this kind of content. I listen to podcasts while I'm driving, sometimes while I'm writing. I was doing it the other day while I was at the dentist because, anything to take your mind off being at the dentist, right? Cleaning the house, unloading the dishwasher, any of those things. If you're doing something where you could be listening and learning at the same time, then that's the time to turn me on, put your headphones in, and get some learning done at the same time. It's just a brilliant way to do it. And I also, with the podcast, will hopefully be moving towards a few more lesson type arrangements there too. So really active, positive training. Now, webinars, I'm going to be keeping on going with those, probably monthly, maybe even a few extras too. So stay tuned for the regular webinars that I'll be running, both solo and with other guests. And I'm exhausted. That's kind of the wrap up of next year's plans. Very briefly, it's been a huge year, and as many of you know, I've been doing this for around 6 years, the blogging. And when I started, of course, there was no intention of it ever becoming quite as big and well known as it has become. So I'm very humbled and very excited by how it's placed in the industry, the kinds of things that people are saying about it, and what is in store for the future. So thank you very much for being along for the ride over the last little while. And I hope you, as I do, look forward to what's coming down the track. So today's episode is actually a roundup of my favorite 7 creative teaching episodes of the podcast over the last 2 years. So what I've done is choose these 7 episodes based on the statistics, the number of downloads, the feedback I've received, and the discussions that have gone on around them. So both in the discussion section at the bottom of the show notes, and also just in general conversation, emails I've received, and those sorts of things. I've really decided that, or started to realize that my passion and my focus more and more is supporting creative and innovative piano teaching. That's my gig. That's what I do. That's what I love doing. That's what I'm really enjoying, helping teachers with creative and innovative piano teaching. I want to help you all be able to feel confident teaching in a non-classical and a non-traditional approach. And while, of course, there's plenty of great merits to a traditional approach of reading first and heavily classical-based repertoire selections, there's plenty to say that's good. I want you to be able to feel confident adding creative elements to your piano lessons, knowing why you're doing them, understanding the pedagogy behind them, and having the resources to allow you to pop creative aspects into your lessons. And hopefully that's what you also have been experiencing by the blogs, podcasts, and those sorts of things that I've been putting out. So the reason I chose the creative teaching episodes was for that reason. That's really what I want to help you do the most. And if these 7 episodes could be something that you listen to over the Christmas break, then I guarantee you're going to be really fired up for teaching come the start of January and February here in Australia. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the 7 episodes are on here. I want you to head to the show notes page, and it's very easy to find. You go to timtopham.com/episode 72, episode 72. And on that page, you'll have a quick rundown of each of the 7 articles, what the main gist of the podcast is, and why I chose to put them in this roundup post. So you'll be able to scan through them, find whichever one that you want to listen to or watch first. Some of them are videos, some of them are audio only. A number of them have some great downloads associated with them that you can use in your teaching. And I just want you to explore them and think about how you can use them in your lessons next year, particularly at the start of the year. One of the hardest things always, as I said in my podcast episode number 69 on 6 steps to beating overwhelm, one of the hardest things to do these days is to actually sort through what is important, find out what you're trying to achieve, and actually make action on it. Because it's very, very easy, as we all know, to listen to all these great podcasts, to read all these fantastic blog posts, to download all this brilliant music, only to find that we forget to use any of it, or we just go back to our old ways. So I really want to put a check stop in that now and through next year for you, and to try and help you build the habits that you need that will change your teaching. And it might be very incremental at the start. It might just be one thing with one student. It might be just one technique, one 5-minute part of a lesson, one app. I don't know whatever it is. But that you do it enough with enough students that it starts to become second nature to you. Just as pulling out a minuet by Bach would be. You know how to teach that stuff. You know how to show people how to pedal. You know how students should move their arms and their hands and hold their wrists. I want you to feel exactly the same way when it comes to being able to start a lesson with no music and no idea what you're doing, but just helping a student create something from nothing. How cool would that be? So make sure you head to the show notes page. It's timtopham.com/episode 72. And that's where you'll find my selection of the 7 most powerful creative teaching podcast episodes since I started back in 2015. I do hope you've enjoyed today's episode. You find it useful in your teaching, and thank you again for your support. If you filled out a survey or applied to an email or left me a review on iTunes, I do thoroughly appreciate it. It is great to read them, and I really value your support. Please share this with other people. Tell other people about this as a resource for piano teachers. I want it to be known that anyone can find this information. It's all freely available, and I just want to help as many people as possible. So wishing you a Merry Christmas. I will be quiet for at least a couple of weeks when you won't find any blog posts or podcasts, and I will be back in January with a new series and a new season and potentially a new name. We'll see how we go. All right, guys. Thanks so much again for listening, and I'll speak to you in the new year. Hi everyone, it's Tim here again. Thank you very much for listening to or watching today's episode. I do hope you got something out of it. I put them together to be as relevant and useful to you in your studio and your teaching as possible. So do let me know your feedback. If you've got any questions, comments, critique, whatever it is, you can email me at admin@timtopham.com. Now, before we go, I did want to mention a few little reminders. Firstly, if you're looking for transcripts of every episode from episode 50 onwards are available at the show notes page. And you can either view the transcript on screen or you can download a PDF that you can use to research and refer to. To find the show notes of any episode of Tim Topham TV, just type in timtopham.com/episode and then the number. So e.g. timtopham.com/episode 20. Now, as you may have heard, I am offering currently you guys, my loyal podcast listeners, some of the most dedicated teachers I know, a $100 discount off annual membership of my inner circle. The code you need to access that is TTTV podcast, all one word. And the place you're going to find out more about what you get for membership, the benefits, hear some testimonials of current members. The place you go is timtopham.com/community. Finally, if you have a suggestion for a guest, I would always love to hear about it. A lot of you guys have some fantastic connections. So if you're thinking of anyone that would be really cool to interview, please email me, admin@timtopham.com. We'll get to me and I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you in the next episode. If the idea of a piano teachers community where you get to access the best educational resources, rub shoulders with expert teachers from around the world, and have immediate access to feedback for any of your questions, then Inner Circle membership is for you. The Inner Circle is my private community of piano teachers from across the globe who share a commitment to creating and delivering the most inspiring, modern, and progressive learning experiences for their students. Membership is now open, so head to timtopham.com/community to find out more and get involved today. I can't wait to see you on the inside.